Hi everybody, it's Nika Akete here, personal leadership coach. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you today is about something that somebody asked me. She said to me, "What would you do if you were taken for granted?" And I thought, "Oh, what an interesting question." Um, so this is what I thought. I thought there are four things that you could do. Well, they all run in sequence. So please bear with me. I did write a few notes. I'll try not to look down, but you never know. Okay, so the first thing that I would say is that you have to recognize that you have been instrumental in allowing this to happen. Okay, that's not a bad thing. That's not to say that you're bad or that you're silly. It's just the way we are, and we're not talking about the general ones, like when your little sister always takes your makeup or your little brother's always out on your motorbike, stuff like that. I think we're really talking about serious breaches of boundaries here. And obviously, for this to happen, you have to have had a role in it, and you need to acknowledge that. Otherwise, what's going to happen is that you will find yourself going forward that you will be in the same situation again. So obviously, when you get that feeling, you have to step back and look at it. Try to detach yourself from emotionally, and have a look and see what you have done to contribute that, and make a decision with yourself what you're going to do to alter it. Number two, talk to the person. Yes, I mean talk. Don't text, don't email or write a letter. Well, you could do if you really couldn't talk to, but it's best to talk to the person. It will be a little uncomfortable. It will be a little embarrassing, and yes, what can I say? Really, it's one of those things. There's a lady that I've heard of called Bernie Brown, and what she said in situations like this is that it's better to have a little bit of discomfort now than a whole lot of resentment later. So, the best thing you could do, immediately you feel like that, nip it in the bud, have the conversation. So, what are you going to talk about? Well, before you really start talking, one thing I would suggest is that you need to be a little bit understanding, in the sense that sometimes people take you for granted and they don't even know it. They don't know they're taking you for granted. They're just being themselves. They're asking you for things. They're asking you to do things for them, or stuff happens and they're like, "Oh, Nikki, can you do this? Oh, Tosi, can you do that? Oh, Johnny, can you do this?" That's just them. They don't know that they're taking you for granted. And I'm talking about genuine people here, not fraudsters or people who can be very manipulative. That's another blog post. I'm just talking about people who generally just have a way they behave, and they don't know that they're taking their loved ones for granted, or at least in the moment they may not be aware of it. So just try to be a little bit understanding. There's no need to quarrel or to break the relationship. It's something that can be fixed. Um, Once you have had that conversation and you've got your understanding hat on, then you need to re-establish some boundaries. So you need to explain to the person how you feel, how you're going to react going forward, and that sometimes, yes, you will say no, or sometimes you will not actually cough up to everything that they're asking for, because they cannot just assume that you're going to be there at that time. Um, so and obviously, depending where that conversation goes really will depend on what you're going to do next. Hopefully it would be a win-win situation where the person is understanding, and they quite sympathetic to where you're coming from. And quite frankly, if they're not, then you really might want to consider asking yourself what value this person is adding into your life if they cannot see what you're saying. Of course, this is presuming that you have spoken nicely, of course. And obviously, if they can't acknowledge your feelings, then it's really a question for you what you want to do, how you want to be going around that in the future. But one thing for sure, that this is really more about you. It's what you want, it's what you desire. So if they're not open to receiving the whether you call it criticism or to accept the new boundaries, that's really going to say more about them, and you just have to be in your own place and know that you've done your best, and that's that. Then the last option is a little bit controversial, I would say, and which is, I would say, is to do nothing. Yes, it is an option. You can't just do nothing. It's not a good option, but it is an option. And obviously, what will happen if you do nothing? The status quo will continue, right? and then you will start to get angry, you will feel bitter, you will feel resentment, you will feel many things. So obviously when you have these feelings, which can be quite negative or just irritating sometimes, then you do need to do something about it. Although, like I said, do nothing is an option. Bearing in mind, one of my big time heroes is Nelson Mandela, and a quote that I really love from him, what he says is that if you swallow a bottle of poison and wait for your enemy to die, that is what resentment is. So let me say that again. Resentment is swallowing a bottle of poison and waiting for your enemy to die. So do you get that? That is what will happen if you do nothing. So it's the weekend, everybody. Have a fabulous time. I hope whatever you're doing, you'll be smiling, making happy memories, working on your goals, making your vision boards, taking a step further to defining your victory and having a wonderful life. So I'm going to sign off now, and I hope you all enjoy.